dividend is blowing out of proportion. We have so many young people who haven't gotten a stable source of employment, and COVID-19 made things worse. But when it comes to how we, as the young people, prepare ourselves for employment, how employable are we? How are we helping develop our careers from a personal point of view? That is what we're going to be talking about today, understanding the scope of career development. And we have such a fantastic guest with us in studio this morning to help us understand all this. We have with us Jerusha Otieno, who is the founder of Nano venue. Karibu sana, Jerusha.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'd like us to start with your social media handles. Our viewers can also interact with you on that platform.
Okay, so our social media handles are on Facebook, Nano Venue, on Twitter at Nano Venue, and then on Instagram at Nano Venue KE.
All right, there you have it. And of course, the official hashtag is still Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, at Jain Wambui across all the socials. We welcome any questions, comments, or clarifications that you may be needing from this conversation. Let us start by understanding what Nano Venue is all about before we get deeper into this conversation.
Okay. So Nano Venue is a career development center, and there we provide people with the tools and the resources they need to grow within their careers. Our focus is majorly on the youth, 18 to 30-year-olds, but we go all the way to 35. And we're saying that as young people, times have changed. What used to work for our parents is no longer working.
Yeah.
So what do you do now, given the current circumstances and even with COVID and all that? How do you go about it to ensure that you can get started, number one, on your career, and then grow it and to the level that you want to go to?
All right.
Yeah.
What got you onto this journey of understanding the role that career development has to play when it comes to the actual bit of trying to develop your career or even change your career? Tell us a bit about your journey.
Okay, my journey. So I graduated from high school, joined the university, studied biochemistry. And you know what?
Biochemistry.
Yes, now life starts.
Nice.
Okay, so you finish up and you're thinking, I'm going to go to the lab, most probably in a research institution somewhere, and you realize that, you know what, unemployment is real.
It is real.
You know? So through that process of trying to figure out what do I do to ensure that I move away from unemployment to employment and actually grow in my science field, I started reading a lot, you know, and I got mentors and all that, and it was a question of how do I move from point A to point B? Okay. So through that process, I was able to learn a lot. Then I started bringing on board mentors for younger people. I had just graduated from campus, so I started mentoring those in high school, and just like that, did a few courses here and there. And through that process, here I am.
Here you are today, and we're here talking about career development. Now, starting with the word career development in itself, because I can tell you for a fact, the first time I heard of career development was when I was in campus. In my third year, we had a unit called career development. When you finish that unit, you're given a very beautiful certificate, and that's it. Just one unit you get to do in campus. But do you really understand what career development means? What scope? What is the scope of career development?
Career development is a journey.
Yeah.
It's never really complete. You can never really finish up on your journey. So you get started, and the first thing you need to do is to assess yourself. You know, who am I? What is my personality? What do I have to bring to the table? Which skills do I have? You have to do that self-assessment first before you move on to the next stage now, which is identifying, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. What can I do between here and there to ensure that I actually develop as a person and also develop my career? Once you do that, you've hit your first goal. Now what? Okay. You see? So you do the process again. It's an ongoing process. It never ends.
It never ends. Yes. I like the fact that you've mentioned it starts with self-assessment. And this self-assessment process is something that I feel so many of us don't get right, especially when you are in campus. And starting with even just our personalities, something that we may take for granted, but we don't really understand to what level it impacts the kind of career paths that we choose. From your research and from what you have seen interacting with the young people, what is the relationship between your personality as an individual in line with the career of choice that you want to pick?
Okay. So your personality, number one, there are many personality tests out there. Maybe it would be good for you to
take one,
understand yourself.
Yeah.
The most common one is the MBTI one, you know, and it gives you 16 personalities, INTJ. So when you do that test, you get the combinations of where do you lie.
Yeah.
Once you know that, you want to find out, okay, fine, so this is pretty much who I am almost, but you never really fall in one category.
It's
fully.
Not a rigid.
No, it's not rigid
System.
So, for example, if you're an INTJ, your immediate right and your immediate left, you'll also find that there are traits there that apply to you, which is okay. So there's that aspect of personality tests and all that, and then now there is the knowing which skills, you know, do you have? For example, if you went to school like myself and I studied biochemistry, and then I did a couple of other courses on top of that, the question is, what am I bringing to the table, you know? So once you have all that, you want to check, is what I studied in line with my personality, or am I just playing games here? We've heard of people who, you go to campus, you want to learn to, say, do medicine.
Yes.
You're an entertainer, you know? You work best with people.
Yes.
You like to be in an environment where you entertain and you make people laugh and all that. Oh, medicine is great. We all want funny doctors, you know, but it's pretty much
at the end of the day,
most of the time you go to the doctor when you're sick.
Yes.
So you're not there for jokes. So they're thinking, Daktari, I am in pain, you know. So it's knowing my personality is like this, which, say, careers would be best for that, and then making your choice. At the end of the day, it's on you.
Now, you find situations where you as a person, and I was at this point, but early on when I was still in my campus days, closing towards graduating, there are those things that you love doing, and you can make a living out of that, but you're not as good at it. And there's this other thing that you don't really like it so much, but you are so good at it.
Yes.
Comes in the question of maybe passion versus the potential. How then do you draw a line between something that you love but you're not good at, as opposed to something that you might not really like it, but you find you are quite good at doing it, in terms of even trying to develop yourself in your career before you even get started, or if you are in it already?
Okay. So that's why I normally say, work is boring if you don't enjoy it.
Yes.
Okay? But then again, you want something that can help you meet your bills, and that's where most of the time people find a problem. So I enjoy doing this, but it's not really paying my bills.
It's not giving me money.
It's not. I don't enjoy doing this, but it pays the bills.
Yes.
Once again, it goes back to that self-assessment that I was talking about. It's, I don't enjoy this. Do I want to continue doing this in the next 5, 10 years? Or do I want to make now a career switch?
Looking at the future,
Yes.
the long term.
Yes, you want to look at the long term.
Okay.
And if I'm going to make a career switch, I've been doing something that I didn't really enjoy, but which skills can I pick from here
and
that can help me on the other side? No, those are the transferable skills that, you know, people talk about. Maybe you know how to sell.
Yes.
Maybe you are a salesperson on this side and you want to move, say, to media. You can still use your selling skills just in a different way, you know? So for me, I normally say that assess yourself. At the end of the day, you want to be happy. You only have one life to lead. It would be awful if on your deathbed, you sit and go, I wish I did this. I think that would be the worst.
Regret having lived an unfulfilling life.
Yes.
Now, let's talk a bit about the mindset that this youth group that, you know, you're targeting has, and especially when it comes to the traditional way of working and developing your career versus the new forms and the new age of employment and the different versions of employment is coming up in this day and time. And you find for some, when you're still in campus, and this even goes back to even the education system. In school, you are taught traditionally how to do things, how things have always been done. But when you get to the job market, just looking at last year, 2020 shifted employment from your usual 8 to 5 in the office to remote working.
Yes.
How then do you strive to get that balance in order to ensure that you're also advancing as a career, especially if you're just getting into the job market, considering what you've been taught and what you're finding?
Okay. So this one, I think the schools are going to be slightly mad. But
Let them be. We are here to speak the truth.
The truth is, most employers, and these are the people you're going to work for, say that, you know what, there's a disconnect between what you learn at school and
the
what
labor market,
the employer wants in the labor market. So the question is, for now, you know, our parents used to say, go to school, get a job, get married, the rest of your life follows. That's not really working anymore. It's not working, and it's not worked in a very long time.
Yes.
And now it's more on the young person to take up the initiative and know that the data is there, there's a disconnect. So how do I bridge the gap between what the employer wants and what I have learned in school? But this doesn't mean that the schools are out of the hook, you know. They also need to bring up their curriculum and all this to the current level. And I say most schools have tried, they have internship programs and apprenticeship programs that are helping young people to bridge that gap.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's on you as a person. The truth is, your classmate, you're in the same class, but guess what? When you're looking for jobs, that's your competitor, you know? So it's knowing, all of us have been taught this, but then what's that extra thing that I have that makes me more employable than the other people?
All right. Now that brings us to when just before you get into the labor market, you are in school studying, and you find, at least these days, the courses that are being offered, they're quite broad before you get to major. And at that point, is it important to consider different career paths that fall within the bracket of area that you study before narrowing down too soon?
Yes. Career pathing is one area that is mostly ignored in Kenya. You know, the way you were saying the first time you heard about career development was in...
my third year.
In your third year. I can tell you for a fact, most people don't even hear the term career development, even when they're doing their first diploma or their first undergraduate degree. You know, so it's, you want to path your career. Do your research. And I'm going to say, like, right now we are in a new age where almost everyone has access to the internet. Even if you don't have access to it 24/7, you have access to it at least part of the day. Most young people have smartphones. Go on Google, find out. Say you study journalism and communication. What are the breadth of careers in that
bracket?
Okay, and then once you look at that, just start researching and reading more about them and seeing, this one tickles my fancy, this one does not. And you start pathing. You can see how you are bringing these things together. Slowly by slowly, you end up with, say, 4 to 5 paths that you think you can take. Then you look at it and say, I can start from here, then move from here, then move from here. In the process, bring in, say, some mentors and some coaches, people who are already in the industry, and they'll tell you, that path kind of hard right now, you know? You want to say, go and do this course, that course, or maybe look at a job in this area or that area, and it helps you grow. So you want to do that. Schools also have, you know, most young people ignore their career offices. Please go visit your career office at school. I know it's usually most of the time at the back somewhere.
At the corner somewhere.
You know, and no one really knows it exists, but they have invaluable information. So go there, talk to them, and they'll help you to path your career.
Now that brings me to the next aspect, and this is something that I had to learn while I'm in the job, and it would have been such advantageous if I learned about it way before I got into the industry. And this is all about the value that interning and networking have to offer, also volunteering, in line with helping build your career in terms of the experience that you get to build and make yourself more employable. Number one, Internship. We're living in a time where so many people want paid internship.
Yeah.
Arguably so. We all have needs. You know, you've got to eat, you've got to pay some bills. Most of us, at least those who are in campus, when I ship a bedsitter flani, they have bills to pay, so they would prefer paid internship. But they're not always there.
Yeah.
Why is it important to take up any forms of internship that are potential experience builders, in as much as it might not have financial gain when you are starting?
Okay, so internships, I like that bit. Internships now give you the hard skills and the soft skills you actually need to survive the marketplace. You know, the technical skills of whichever career you've chosen.
Yes.
That's why you go to learn about it. But then again, you're not working alone. You know, you work with people. So how do you handle people? School doesn't teach you how to handle people.
Oh, it doesn't.
It does not.
Oh, my goodness.
And the reality is, for most people, what determines how far you go is not only your hard skills. It's how do you relate to people.
Your people skills.
Yes, your people skills. So that's where networking is. But networking is not going and picking business cards. You know, you go to networking events and everyone has a card, you know?
Yeah.
And they dish them out and you're thinking, yeah, I networked.
That was successful networking.
You didn't really network.
Yeah.
Go. I say that networking is for you to go and learn about people. Cool. Find out who is Jane, what does she do, but above all, how can I be of help to Jane?
Not just getting a contact from them.
No, it's not that. The easiest way to network is to provide a solution for someone. It might not be that they have a problem and you solve it. Chances are you can connect them to someone. You know, you can tell them, have you checked this program? That's what it's all about. But take up all the internships you can get. Between the ages of 18 and let's say around 27 to almost all the way to 30, because that's when most people graduate with their first diploma or degree. Yeah. You want to get your skills. One of the reasons people don't understand why employers don't sort of pay is, number one, it's not that they don't want. Okay, some don't want, but some do, but it's expensive. And the reality is, you get to the workplace and they have to retrain you. Like you've been taught that in school. Forget all that. It goes like this. Job. You know?
Yeah.
This is what we need from you.
Okay.
You want to work on your skills. There's no you're going to work on your skills if you don't do actual work. Yes. So if you can't get paid internship, are you going to sit and wallow there? You know what? By the time you are saying, let me finally do an internship or a volunteer gig or something of the sort, someone has already done 3 or 4, and when now it gets to entry-level jobs and guys are being hired, trust me, they will not look at your CV anyway, because they're looking at your CV and they're saying, there's nothing. You know, what have you done? Experience. You know, what have you learned? Yeah. How is that experience adding on to what we need? Because with employers, it's what they need. It's not really what you're offering. You know, they have a need. Say, I want an anchor on TV. I want an anchor for this. How are you fulfilling so how are you fitting into, you're going to fulfill the needs of the employer. All right. What about the group of young, aggressive individuals who they have brilliant ideas, they're innovators, and they want to get into entrepreneurship immediately after school. For some, they might get lucky, get funding, or they already have a foundation that has been set. Yeah. And there are those who are not as lucky. But from a career standing, from what you have seen, is it advisable to venture straight into entrepreneurship straight after campus, or what do you need to do if that's not the advisable way to go? This one is comme ça, you know, 50-50. Because the truth is we do have the Mark Zuckerbergs who just left school and, yeah, we are here with Facebook, you know, we have WhatsApp and Instagram and all that. But then for most people, you first need to learn. And the best way to learn is to go actually work for something. Go and understand. Through employment. Well, how does the workplace work? You know, okay, fine, I'm going to become an anchor, but, you know, there's HR, there's finance. That you have to deal with. Maybe you want to pitch something. Do you pitch it to HR? Does it go to finance? You know, who is it going to be under PR? So you need to go to the workplace. Just at least we say that internship helps. It helps to navigate, but it's not fully complete. You're sort of shielded as an intern.
Yeah.
Go get an actual job and see how it works. See the repercussions of what you're doing before you decide to venture out.
All right. Yeah. Now, looking at this time and age we're living in, the young people have the social media, and it has been termed as a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And we're living in a time where potential employers are now sifting through what you post on social media.
Yes.
Understanding that it's no longer just yours to use as you please. It has a role to play on your employability, capacity, and also career development.
So for social media, I know most people ask, it's social media, I'm supposed to be socializing.
Yeah, it's my platform.
It's my platform. Why would you as an employer go and poke your nose
invasion of
over
privacy?
there? Exactly, why are you going to look at that?
Yes.
But the reality is employers want to learn more about you.
And why is that important for the employer to start off?
Most of the time it's a fit to see whether you're a good fit for them culturally, by going through the things that you like and all that, seeing what you post there.
Okay.
They can see, this is a person who looks like almost what you want.
Okay.
This one looks like, this one could land us in trouble. We are avoiding trouble, So it's basically to know more about you, what you stand for,
how risky you are,
and the truth is, if you're doing wonders career-wise, people like to brag a lot on social media, so they can also see a trail of what you've been up to, and they say that this one looks like a go-getter. Maybe we can take them up.
Yes.
So your social media, try just to keep it clean. Especially your official handles, try to keep it as clean as possible.
Yes.
You don't want people looking at you and saying, this one will start bringing us things at the office and we don't want. Just try and keep it clean as much as possible. All
right. Remember, you always have a digital footprint.
Yes.
What you post today, trust me, there's always somebody who has a screenshot somewhere. A screenshot that has been saved. 2036. It will be pulled out and you'll be wondering how did they even get this? So in as much as social media, it is meant to be socializing and it is yours to use as you please. Remember, everything that you do always has a consequence, a pro and a con to it, all right?
I'm going to add something before we move on.
Sure.
There are two types of social media.
Yes.
There's the professional side and then there is the social one, where you can go and just hang out.
Yes.
The most professional one that we have right now is LinkedIn, and it's almost like your online resume. That's what most people are saying. So ensure that you have something there, and most recruiters are using that to find people to work with. So ensure that your LinkedIn looks nice, but then you can also get jobs through all the other platforms. There are people who have reached out to me, say, I need this or that, simply because they saw it, say, on Facebook, or they saw it on Instagram or on Twitter or something of the sort. So just strike a balance. Strike a balance. Like a place like LinkedIn, it doesn't mean that you can't smile, and you can. Just be you.
Yes.
But you're tempering the you bring in.
Moderation is key.
Yeah.
Once again, remember, social media can do you good or mess you up depending on how you use it. Now, let's talk a bit about life post-campus. For most, after umefanya your diploma, your certificate, or your degree, the next one you will do will be the next big one. Either your master's or your PhD. Yeah. But you see, there are these short courses that you can be doing here and there to help build your career, your CV and all that. Is it something you would advise the young people to be doing, especially when they don't have like formal employment or something to keep them busy?
Definitely.
Yes.
You always want to, by going to do some of these short courses, they add on to what you bring to the table. And trust me, what you learned, say, for your first diploma, and you go do a short course, it's going to build onto it.
Yes.
You might not see the value now, but say 5 years down the line, you can start to connect the dots and you realize that, you know what, I did this, then I moved here, then I moved there. So yes, go and do the short courses. I think here we also come to the parents. Parents, the truth is, your kids right now, just doing that first one don't really help much. You know, if you can, take them back to the short ones, and especially for these ones that take around 6 to 8 weeks, 3 months around
max
there,
6 months,
you
even,
know, they do 3 or 4, and now when they go to when they're applying for jobs and all that, an employer can say, oh yeah, I need this, this seems interesting. This one is bringing an interesting set of skills. They're valuable to me.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Now, we are almost out of time, but we cannot conclude before we get to look at the aspect of CV writing. You know, the other day I went through the first CV that I ever wrote.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I know.
Where? Jerusha.
Lord have mercy.
Forgive us, Lord, for we knew not what we were doing.
Very true.
The importance of a CV and a cover letter before we even get to what the do's and don'ts. Very briefly before we get to the details.
The importance of a CV. In short, you use your CV to sell yourself. That's the whole point of the CV. Same to the cover letter, but your CV is a longer version, so you're using it to tell them, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is what I'm bringing to the table, and this is how I'm going to be of value to you.
Your organization.
You know, you're going to sell yourself. The cover letter now is a backup. You can't, you don't want to repeat the same stuff you have on the CV in your cover letter. It's to tell them more, you know. So I know you already read my CV, that's all good. But then there's also this about me. You can, there's this more that I have to bring to the table. That's the importance of the CV and the cover letter.
All right. Yeah. Now, back in the day, CV, there are a lot of things that were included there that, my goodness, they were completely unnecessary. Very briefly, just take us through the basics, do's and don'ts when it comes to putting together your CV, and especially the information.
So the do's and don'ts. There's information that you should have, then there's information that you shouldn't have. One thing I see a lot of, do we start with the do's or the don'ts? Start with the don'ts so that we don't do that. Let us, because those are mistakes that I feel we tend to do because it's what we're used to. Okay. So one of the big ones is usually you want to add your picture, whatever for. You know, you put in yourself in a position where the other person can judge you based on your look. Physical appearance. And not on what you bring to the table. Don't do that. There's no point of adding stuff like your race, your date of birth, your marital status. Okay, how does that link to the job? You know, religion. Yeah, your religion. Hobbies. Your hobbies, you can. That depending on the role? Yes, it depends. Your hobbies, you can. But then, your hobbies is at which level of your career are you? You know? Like, for example, you're just starting out after college, you can, because it gives someone a glimpse into more about you. But then for senior roles, again, it depends, but most of the time you don't really need them because your CV speaks for itself. Okay. And then we do a lot of, you focus on the responsibilities. Say, like you, I used to host this TV show, I used to do this. Fine. Any other person who's done, say, journalism can do that. I want to know about what have you accomplished. Because then it shows, because then it shows me that you bring in value. Wherever if I bring you on board, you're going to add value. Yes. Okay. So you also don't want to have a CV that's too long. Around 2 pages, 3 max, you know, 3 maximum. And that's usually for senior level people. But straight out of, say, college, a 1-pager, I know it looks crazy, but a 1-pager will do. And then from intermediate level to mid-career, even to some level of senior careers, you want to do 2 pages max. So if it's not that, 5 pages, 10 pages, I beg. Why am I reading? No, I'm going to spend, say, 6 to 7 seconds on your CV. I can't do 10 pages in such a short time. All right. Now, my directors tell me we're completely out of time, but we are definitely going to invite you back to continue with this conversation, because I feel there's so much more that we need to look at, especially when it comes to CV writing and the other aspect of putting together your resignation letter when it comes to career development, because people burn bridges, and that is not good for you when it comes to your career development. But due to the constraint of time, we'll pause there. Of course, we're going to be having a second part of this conversation. We have been speaking with Jerusha Otieno, who is the founder of Nano Venue, a career development organization. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing
sharing with us from your point of knowledge. We thoroughly appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Jain Wambui. On behalf of the Good Morning Kenya crew, we wish you a lovely day. Be sure to join us again tomorrow morning right here